Welcome to Pastor Andrew's Inspirations. If you enjoy these videos, please click on the red subscribe button below the video and the bell for more. Welcome to our online church, a congregation made up of many from around the world. No offering is necessary. Subscribing and watching videos will keep us alive under God's watchful eyes. Today we will be talking about biblical names starting with H, part 5. This part consists of 3 sections. This is part C. Haman continued. Esther, chapters 1 and 3 call him Haman, the son of Hammedatha, descendant from Agag, the son of Amalek. The Targum Sheni gives Haman's lineage as follows. Haman, the son of Hammedatha the Agagite, son of Khada, son of Kuza, son of Alipilot, son of Dios, son of Diosos, son of Peros, son of Madan, son of Bala'qan, son of Antimiros, son of Hadrus, son of Shegar, son of Negar, son of Parmashta, son of Vaizatha, son of Agag, son of Sumqar, son of Amalek, son of a concubine of Eliphaz, the son of Esau. There are evidently several generations omitted between Agag, who was killed by Samuel the prophet in the time of King Saul, and Amalek, who lived several hundred years earlier. In rabbinic tradition, Haman is measured to be a model of evil and bully of the Jewish. Having tried to eliminate the Jewish of Persia and making himself their worst enemy, Haman naturally became the center of many Talmudic legends. Being at one time very poor, he sold himself as a slave to Mordecai. He was a barber of Kfar Karzim for the space of 22 years. Haman had an idolatrous image sewed on his garments, so that those who bowed to him at command of the king bowed also to the image. Haman was also an astrologer, and when he was about to fix the time for the massacre of the Jewish, he first cast lots to ascertain which was the most auspicious day of the week for that purpose. Each day proved to be under some influence favorable to the Jewish. He then sought to fix the month, but found that the same was true of each month. Thus Nisan was favorable to the Jewish because of the Passover sacrifice. Iyar because of the small Passover. But when he arrived at Adar, he found that its zodiacal sign was Pisces, and he said, "Now I shall be able to swallow them as fish, which swallow one another." In Esther Rabbah 7 and Targum Sheni 3. Haman had 365 counselors, but the advice of none was so good as that of his wife, Zeresh. She induced Haman to build a gallows for Mordecai, promised him that this was the only way in which he would be able to succeed over his enemy. For previously the just had always been rescued from every other kind of death. As God foresaw that Haman himself would be hanged on the gallows, he asked which tree would volunteer to serve as the instrument of death, each tree declaring that it was used for some holy purpose, objected to being soiled by the unclean body of Haman. Only the thorn tree could find no excuse, and therefore offered itself for a gallows. In Esther Rabbah 9 and Midrash Abba Gorion 7. In Targum Sheni, This is narrated somewhat differently. The Targum Sheni says he killed the prophet Daniel, who managed to live to Ahasuerus' reign. In Targum Sheni on Esther, chapters 4 and 11. In the Quran, Haman is not a proper name, but a title of the court official and high priest of the Pharaoh, and is associated with him in his court at the time of Prophet Moses. McCullough's Encyclopedia of the Quran, among other sources, relates Haman to be the Arabized form of Ha-Amana in Egyptian. This is in line with Persian historical records. They do not contain any reference to the biblical story of a Persian official named Haman during that time period, nor the Persian or the person of Esther. Haman appears 6 times throughout the Quran, 4 times with Pharaoh and twice by himself, where God or Allah sent Moses to invite Pharaoh, Haman, and their people to monotheism, and to seek safety from the Israelites whom Haman and Pharaoh were upsetting, referring to Moses as a sorcerer and a liar. The Pharaoh rejected Moses' call to worship the God of Moses and refused to free the Israelite children. The Pharaoh hired Haman to build a tall tower using burnt bricks so that the Pharaoh could ascend and see the God of Moses. The Pharaoh, Haman, and their army and chariots chasing Israel's fleeing children died in the Red Sea as the parted water closed on them. The Pharaoh's submission to God at the instant of death and total devastation was rejected, but his corpse was saved as a lesson for future, and he was mummified. Josephus's comments on Haman in his Antiquities of the Jewish. Josephus's account of the story draws from the Septuagint translation of the book of Esther and from other Greek and Jewish sources, some no longer extant. The Septuagint calls Haman a Macedonian by Xerxes. Read Esther chapter 16. Scholars have had 2 different explanations for this naming. Macedonia was used to replace the word Medi, and emphasizes this when he also says that no Persian blood existed in him. In practice, the Persians and the Medes co-ruled an empire, but great conflict existed between them. Another opinion is that Xerxes called him a Macedonian spy, due to his insistence on causing civil war within Persia between the Jews and the Persians. The Septuagint translates the hang of Esther chapter 7 as crucify or impale, using the same verb later used in the New Testament's Gospel of Matthew. The 50-cubit tool used in the execution is described vaguely using a word, which could mean a tree, a club, a stave, a gibbet, a gallows, the vertical component of a cross or crucifixion, or anything made of wood, and vagueness already present in the original Hebrew, tree or wood. In Vulgate, as in the Septuagint, Haman's execution is unclear, suggestive of both hanging and crucifixion. The 50-cubit object, described as xylon in the Septuagint, is similarly vaguely referred to as wood. The Vulgate translation of Esther chapter 7 furthermore refers to a patibulum, used elsewhere to describe the crosspiece in crucifixion. When describing the fate of Haman, suspensus eitec ama in patibulo quad paravera Mardekio. Therefore was Haman suspended on the patibulum he prepared for Mordecai. This was the Bible name starting with H part 5. Please stay tuned for part 6 with a continuation on Haman's story. If you like these videos, please click on the red subscribe button below and the bell for more. Adonai Nisi, the Lord is our banner. God's blessings be upon us all.